Hello everyone. So welcome back to the second chapter of accounting concepts. So in the part 1 we have discussed already a few concepts which is very important, and in this part 2 we'll be understanding the few more concepts which is equivalent and as well as important while making accounting decisions and accounting transactions. So first concept is going to be the consistency. So when you are making a books of accounts, think it like it should be in same format so that you can understand even after 5 years. So think it like a tea. You want a tea every morning in consistent way, same thickness, same amount of milk, same amount of sugar in that. So if any day it is improper, you might feel that tea is not that great. The same consistency concept also. We have to understand this, because if every year you do different type of accounting, then for us to understand what happened before few years, it's going to be very difficult. So this is what consistency concept defines us. And second concept is going to be conservatism, which is a prudence concept. So we all remember when we used to give exam, that after coming after exam we should discuss to our friends that I'm going to score this much mark. In a 5 mark question, we just used to give that I'm going to receive only 3, even though you're very confident that I'm going to receive 5. But for safer side, you'll be thinking I'll just receive 3 marks from that. It's because you're not falling for the high expectation, you're keeping your expectation below the down. So same here happens in accountancy also. So always record the losses or expense is going to happen, or you doubtfully it's going to happen in future. Okay, but don't record profit unless you're very certain. Okay, so if you have doubtful debts, which is in debtors, where your debtor is not going to pay, you have some kind of suspicious, immediately record into your books of accounts. If the debtor pays, just reverse the transaction afterwards. But same, it's like your exam marks, thinking that you're going to score less and have the expectation below. That's it. That's the conservatism concept or the prudence concept states. Dual aspect concept. This is very interesting. So is that so even if you go in 12th, you go into higher studies, this concept is your base, because in accounts we're going to study something called double entry and single entry system. Double entry means two impact is going to happen, and single entry is single impact is going to happen. In double entry, we receive and we give. This is going to impact. Even in our general life, whatever you do, it needs two or more than two people to create an impact. Without two or more than two people, you can't create an impact. So let's say if you want to buy an ice cream, you will give the money and you will the ice cream. So you're creating impact by buying an ice cream and giving the money to the shopkeeper. So you need minimum two people. So same here we need debit and credit, what we say in simpler words. So debit what comes in, credit what goes out. This is a dual aspect concept. It's like having recording as a conversation in your books of accounts, where two people are talking. Accrual based concept. So this concept is very regularized in our Indian accounting standard. Let's assume you go to a momo shop. You are a regular customer in a momo shop. And after having momos, which was very spicy, I would say, you might forget your wallet, or you didn't have a cash in your hand. So what do you say to shopkeeper that I'll give it tomorrow? As shopkeeper knows that you will come daily, you live nearby the house only, so you won't go anywhere. So you're taking credit for that. So accrual base is also same, where the shopkeeper, even though he didn't get the money from the sale, he'll just record that he is due X amount from the person. So that shopkeeper might have sold momos to you, but didn't receive cash. So in his books of accounts, you're gonna write that let's say Sunny owns me 100 rupees for having momos, even though money has not came yet, but you can record as a transaction. That's what accrual basis of concept, where You record the transaction, it happens immediately, regardless did you receive cash or not. And same happen for expenses also. So you're going to record the expense when they incur, regardless if you have money or money in your hand or not. And this is a concept this is a main important concept we saw till now, the 3 and the 4 concept we saw till now, and before video was a part 1. In this, goods and service tax, this is a new area where it's introduced in CBSE last 5 years when the GST was being introduced. So GST is very interesting, it's very complicated, it's very simplified tax system in India also. So why I'm saying simplified and complified in one term, it's because for some people GST made a business very easy, and some people for GST is made very difficult. So it's basically a new tax system where you're gonna have only limited tax or limited size of tax you have to pay. Okay. So before GST, we used to have lots of taxes. So in 2017, GST has been introduced where a certain percentage will be included in the cost of product or selling value of the product. So you might be asked, what is the difference between old tax system and GST, what happened? So in older system, there are lots of like VAT, the service tax was there, sales tax was there, excise duty tax was there, revenue tax was there, central tax was there. So if you are earning 100 rupees, in that 20 rupees is going to be distributed into various taxes, and you don't even know which tax to whom you have to pay. It's a very complicated tax system we had. But GST has simplified into CGST, which is Central Goods and Service Tax, and then state GST, IGST, which is integrated, where you make a transaction to another state. If you are from Chennai, you are selling a goods to Hyderabad, it's going to come into integrated because there's 2 state or 2 city involved. UT GST is Union Territory GST. So we have union territories in India like Puducherry, that has separate tax in that. And old tax system had a double counting effect. So let's say if you are manufacturing a bread, so when you procure wheat, you will pay a tax. When you make that wheat to bread, you will pay a tax. The producer will pay a tax. The producer will sell to a wholesaler, he has to pay a tax. So the product is cost 100 rupees, but you might be paying tax of 30 to 40 rupees in that. So for this, it made excessive expensive for the consumer. In GST, the tax gets postponing till the consumer pays for the goods, and that's where tax is going to get recorded in the books of accounts. So if a producer is making bread for 100 rupees and tax counts as 5, that 5 will only come to till end when the consumer pays that. So if you see in GST portal, the tax will be the only amount which started from a raw material to making a finished goods. So it's going to be only one tax where you have to pay. And who collects is same, which is in old time both central and state separately used to collect, because central might have 2% on sales or state might have 10% on sales. In GST, it's not like that. IGST, which is an integrated GST, it has been shared between the state and the government. CGST is for central and SGST for state. Where it applies, every city had different tax system in older days. But GST had made everything at one. When you sell a product, that time only GST is going to apply for you. Transparency, of course, because due to this much tax system, customers were unclear about the prices. Whereas in GST, whenever you go to a restaurant or see whatever you go, just see the bill, you will be having a GST name in that and GST registration number. That means that hotel or the place is complied by the GST laws. And origin, tax start when it gets produced. This is what I said from producer aspect. This is the older system. Where in GST, when the consumer buys the goods for the consumption, where he purchases the bread, that time GST goes. in that. So intrastate means the goods is sold within the city. So from if you want to sell the goods from Bangalore to Mysore, it's inside Karnataka only. So there won't be any other type of GST involved. So you will be only CGST plus SGST. Whereas interstate, where the good is sold from one state to another, there we have to apply IGST, and it will be collected by central government, then it will be distributed into state government. And this is the various type of GST rates. So for 0% is the essential items, salt. 5% which is your tea, sugar and edible medicines. 12% is your standardized goods, your mobile phone, frozen food. 18% is your soap, toothpaste, which is most not a basic necessity, but also kind of without this also you can live. So you can live without restaurant, going to a restaurant, without having electronics. It is the top of your niche. 28% is where the luxury products get in, where you buy cars of more than 1200 cc or above the 4 meters length. You have to pay 28% tax. In alcoholic product, in tobacco products, soft drinks, you have to pay 28%. But if you see in last 1 month, GST has been changed from we have only 5% and 18% and 40% tax slabs. So now I don't know when is CBSE going to change this, but GST rates has been changed completely right now. So why GST has to be collected by different source? So SGST, which is a state government tax system. So if you are selling a product in Chennai, if you are manufacturing or distributing product of Chennai, just 100 rupees and the GST is 10 rupees, half will go to 5 rupees will go to state and 5 will go to CGST. Same happens for IGST and new GST also. So this is the tax system which has been simplified into straight manner. So you might be asked, what is the negative effect of this? Now if GST is coming, there is going to be lots of compliance. What do you mean by compliance? So before, older tax system where you don't need much for a shopkeeper. If you're selling good for 100 rupees, you'll get that 100 rupees and go to home. But now, since government is targeting all the small businessmen also, it's gonna create expensive for small business to do the compliance. They have to go to the auditor and pay something 10 to 15,000 for the service, as well as the tax amount what they are paying to the GST office. Disadvantage one more side would be that there are lots of products, but one product might have, let's say if you are buying wheat, it's only 0%, but if you are buying flour, it is 12%. Now you might be confused what to do right now. So there are various products. When it comes to derivation of product or the product into breaking into many other product, the GST rate changes. For a businessman, it's going to be complicated to remember what rate for this product has to be applied. So this is the part 2 and the chapter 2 gets end here. Hope you liked it. Hope we made the thinking process easier for you. And this is where we lie always. So complexity, making complex topics into easier topics so that you don't just score marks but you understand as a story aspect. So this is the chapter 2 ending. Hope you liked it. Have a great day.